I would like to call to order this Board of Education regular meeting Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 at 7:02 p.m. Can I have a roll call?
Mrs. Theodore? Here. Mrs. McPhillips? Here. Mrs. Urbach Barnfield? Here. Mrs. Deck? Here. Mrs. Lala? Here. Mr. Berardi?
Here.
And Mr. Fuzio?
Here. We have a quorum. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance led by
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
mission statement. The mission of North School District 80 is inspiring educational excellence and a nurturing environment. Celebrate the success. Giles School students with perfect attendance for trimester 1.
Mrs. Gulo and I would like just to recognize 59 students at Giles School that have received perfect attendance for trimester 1. That is truly amazing. So nice job to each and every one of you. I really appreciate your commitment to making sure that your child comes and learns each and every day. Coming to school is huge for the learning process to continue. It's like building a foundation, and we go from one step to the next step, and if you miss that, then we miss that one step. And so I appreciate you coming to school every single day, but I am going to challenge you all to continue that for the rest of the school year for trimester 2 and then trimester 3. Our past data shows typically we have maybe 2 to 3 students of grade level by the end of the year that have perfect attendance. And with having 59 for trimester 1, I would really like to see that number grow by trimester 3. So I know that sickness happens, and again, if you're sick, you should stay home, get better, because we do not want other students to get sick. But it's important that when you're healthy, you should be in school, so thank you so much. I also appreciate that you all came here today on one of the coldest days. So thank you so much for coming here to the board meeting. What we're going to do, since I gave directions in the beginning, we're going to change it up because we have certificates. So what we're going to do is we're going to call our 5th grade students first. Come on up to receive your certificate. When you receive your certificate, just kind of stay in the back over there, and then we'll have our 6th graders, our 7th graders, and our 8th graders. Okay?
Is Muhammad here? If not, I'll just keep going. And Tony? Kylie? Sophia B? We can still play. Graziana?
today we celebrated with a pizza party during lunchtime. So everyone received some pizza. You seem to have a great time. So again, thank you for coming. What we're going to do right now, if I can have fifth graders come and stand on the black line right here. Fifth grade, face that way, please. Move this way a little bit more. Right here, this way a little bit. Sixth grade behind them. Seventh grade, sixth grade. Eighth graders behind the seventh graders. Move, take a step forward. Use fifth grade stay. Everyone else take a step forward. We're going to take pictures. Come closer to the fifth and sixth graders. Board of Education, if you don't mind. Move this way. First and eighth grade, slide this way. Seventh grade, slide this way. There you go. There, take a step forward. There you go, take a step forward. There you go. More of it. And I'm going to you may leave if you would wish as well, whatever your choice is.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we understand you. Thank you very much.
item, consider motion to approve the agenda as presented. Can we have a motion? Rita and Bob. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Urbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes. Motion passes. Recognition of visitors. Correspondence, any correspondence?
No.
Public participation, there's such. FOIA request, that can be found at the website, and published. Administrative reports. Superintendent.
Yeah, my report will be in my discussion items tonight.
Okay. Special education, Mr. Masters.
So a couple of really good points that I wanted to just bring to the board's attention. Number one is with the end of our first semester, we do partake in SPED Data Days, which is our opportunity to see how our students are progressing to their individual goals. I'm very pleased to announce that 85% of our special education students did make progress on all of their goals. So that's really great news to work through. We do have some students who are still working towards, but it's a great collaboration between our special education staff and what we as administrators can do as well. So really wonderful news. We did have a preschool screening on December 20th. Again, a special thank you to our preschool team to make sure that we're assessing our youngest Tiger Tots. And then also a special thank you to our bilingual teachers who have started our access testing. Access testing is basically a test that is assessing English language proficiency for all of our ELL students, grades K through 12. So that is a lengthy process, but they've been doing a wonderful job. We've got a new schedule in place that seems to be working quite well. So we are diligently working, and we are wishing all of our students all the best. That's my report.
Thank you. The reports, Stratus School, Mr. Pietri.
We have two dances coming up that are sponsored by PTA. One is this Friday from 6:30 to 8:30 for 5th and 6th grade. And then the 7th and 8th grade dance is January 31st, which is the following Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. The difference in times, this Friday, the boys basketball team will more than likely have a home game at 4 o'clock, and they should be done around 5. And then we'll set up for the dance. That's why we pushed it back a half hour. We will have night at the museum for our 5th through 8th grade on February 26th from 5:30 to 7. Doors will open at 5:15. We ask that families enter through the main entrance number 2, and we ask that students please make sure they're with a parent or a legal guardian. But students are really excited getting their projects ready to go for that event. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. These schools, Dr. Riviola.
So after our coming back from winter break, we had a grade level expectation review, and all students participated in a friendly competition where they were created a little poster and kind of outlined how they live our values each day here at Lee. So we had 20 students who were chosen, a couple students at each grade level, as the winners of that contest. There's a picture of them in my report if you take a look at that, and all their names are listed there. We also celebrated with a little pizza party for them. So just want to give them a shout out. Also, a special thank you to Norwood Park Township and the PTA for supporting a project to add some additional signage here at Lee, some signage and school branding products that we're really excited about. We have some of those things are already up and installed, and there's a few other pieces that will be added as some additional work is completed. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Discipline reports, Giles versus Gula.
We have one in-school suspension in violation of Board Policy 7:190, 7, 9, 12, and 21. And then 2 in-school suspensions in violation of Board Policy 7:190, 7, 9, and 21.
Lee, Mrs. Harris.
Lee School has not had any suspensions
Monthly staffing report.
I included the monthly staffing report in the board packet today, just so we can update the board up to date on the staffing.
Board committees, education, nothing to report. Board policy development, maybe you could mention this in the discussion.
I will.
Building grounds, nothing to report, but then again, there was a meeting a couple months ago. Plans for spring break are underway. Summer plans also, and I'm sure we'll be touching on some things. Behavior intervention, nothing to report. Negotiations and human resources, board will discuss them in closed. Finance, nothing to report. Communications, I think a newsletter, the new works. Norwich Park District, nothing that I know of, but discussion items.
Thank you. So today I have discussion items from all areas, and we'll start with board business. To begin with, I am resharing and reviewing the strategic plan that was created a few years ago by a group of the board members and staff within the district, and the 4 goals for the strategic plan. And that is to be fiscally responsible, student-centered decisions regarding finances and allocating of resources, to provide safe, secure, and well-maintained facilities to support our 21st century programs and learning. Goal 3 was by the school year 24-25, all students in kindergarten will receive an equal number of instructional minutes for ELA and math. And I'm happy to say, as that we reported in the past on our half-day, full-day schedules for kindergarten, that we have reached this goal. And if a student is in half-day kindergarten, they receive the same minutes in ELA and math. Our half-day program used to end at 2:30, and the students would leave, and then another group would come in. Now we have our half-day students, used to end after 2.5 hours. Now they're here for a longer day, and they're scattered amongst all the kindergarten classrooms. And then when lunchtime comes, some students go to lunch, and then some students go home for the half-day, from the half-day. So we're very happy and are interested to see our results from this increase of instructional minutes in ELA and math. And by school year 25-26, we'll provide teachers with individual preparation time while providing space and time for collaborative meetings. Also happy to report that we have met this goal prior to 25-26. We do have collaborative meetings happening in the mornings where the teachers are assigned to be working with other staff members in collaboration, and then they also have their individual prep time throughout the day. I did put, as the board might have noticed, a little symbol by each one of those, because everything that we do and everything that we work towards has to do with the strategic plan in one way or another. So I put a little symbol by everything, and then I will then talk about things with that little symbol by it, and it'll be easy for you to then recognize, oh, that fits in this section in this strategic plan. On the academic of the school sides, we have our school improvement plans. At Giles, we have 70% of students will make their individual growth in iReady for 5th grade or MAP for 6th through 8th grade from spring to spring, from last year's spring to this year's spring. And the same thing then with ELA. And then the office discipline referrals will decrease by 10%. Similar goals at Lee, with 70% of the students making their individual expected growth. They only use iReady at Lee for math and ELA. And then Lee will increase implementation by 10% on the PBIS tiered fidelity inventory. So those are the plans, and then I have a symbol at the bottom there that kind of shows growth happening for academic growth. I do recommend that the board have another session or two on updating our strategic plan. I think that would be important, especially after the April 1st election, which I will talk a little bit about that, and then setting a new board on May 1st. So this month on January 9th, the Superintendent Advisory Committee met. We talked a lot about, as we've been talking a lot about, district communication. And we took a look at the website and kind of have made a mock look of what we would like the website to change to. Now, we don't like this symbol up here, so that's something we're going to change. But what people do like are is the color, and how we have across the top here all the different tabs, which we don't have on our website right now. Now, this is just a mock, this is not live, nor does this have all the information. But basically what you would do is click on it, and then you have a down button here that would lead you to anything that you're looking for. So this is one thing that the Superintendent Advisory Committee has been working on. They're pretty happy with this layout, but there's certainly a couple other things that we're looking at tweaking and changing. This would not go live until next school year. We also discussed financial information. We talked about what an audit is, what a budget is, how the levy works. We talked about summer school for 2025, the summer work that's planned for 2025, some school safety. And then our last topic that we discussed was what we're going to look at in February, and we're going to highlight some of our district programs. And as you can see down at the bottom, that the Superintendent Advisory Committee does fit into 3 of our different areas of focus for us here in the district. There we go. Okay, moving forward. Food service. So last month, I told you that we had received a letter from Gourmet Gorilla that they would be ending their service with us. Their last date is February 13th for the Gourmet Gorilla lunch. And then we will begin service with Organic Life on February 18th. Seems like a long time, but the 14th is a sick day, so we don't have lunch at the school. And then President's Day is the 17th, so we don't have school. So the 18th, that is the next day after the 13th that we will be serving lunch. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because the way that they work is parents don't have to pre-order their food. They just say that they will have what they need. And obviously that comes with a little bit of an ebb and flow, you know, because while we can predict some numbers of what we have right now, we do anticipate an increase on participation when Organic Life gets up and running, because their food is all fresh. It is, as I think I shared with you last month, it is made fresh that day, never frozen, no preservatives, and then there's a corner table that they literally scoop food onto kids' plates, like fresh green beans, and we eventually can even move into a salad bar and other fresh items, which we're not at yet, but that is something that we're hoping to do in the future. So what they've asked me to do is just kind of send out a quick survey asking parents if they think that they'll order in the next couple of months, and kind of plan for lunch at that point. It's going to be a little tricky. They did inform me that they will have sun butter and jelly sandwiches every day available, and it is also on the menu, and they also do have deli meat sandwiches available. They do not have any pork products or any products that we shouldn't have in our lunch, and I'm very excited about this. Now that did mean that we had to move into an emergency contract. That emergency contract right now is only till the end of this school year, but there is some options of renewing another year through the Illinois State Board of Education. So we're working on that. And then we did have to approve emergency purchase of equipment for each school. We were underneath the $35,000 threshold to go to bid. However, we did still, since we were so close, we did get approval from NSD and approval from our legal team, just to make sure we did everything correct. Yes, kids, the cost of the children will be the same as it has been, $4.35 for lunch. They'll pay the same way that they always have through push-pull. line, there's a POS system that'll charge their account in the same way that they do now. They actually have 2 people, or Organic Life will have 2 servers in each school. Right now we only have 1, but they'll have a person that gets the food ready and then a person that runs the POS system. Right now they have IDs with a barcode on them and the kids go through and they scan them. Or they go big book up names if they don't have their IDs.
Question in regards to, refresh my memory, Gourmet Gorilla, when they pulled out, was it because we were meeting a certain quota, was it not many people were getting lunch, is that the main reason, or?
Well, their original email that they sent was set for financial reasons. And then the letter that they sent, which was actually the way it should have been done, said for cause. And they don't have to give a cause for that. If they are pulling out a contract for financial reasons, they have to provide for us all the financials. So my guess is they just did not provide that, and so they went with for cause instead, which then allowed them 60 days to end the contract.
So my concern is that, there's another option that seems healthier and better. When you do that survey, will you also submit like a little bit about them and what they offer, and kind of get people a little more excited about it?
I will.
To be hard to make that decision if you're basing it off of your past experience with Gourmet Gorilla.
Yeah, and if you look at the menu, which I have a copy of here, it really doesn't look that different. It'll state on here in official links, no artificial ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup, no fried foods, no mystery meats, and then it talks about always being fresh and 4-star provider. But if you look at the actual stuff that's in the little box, it pretty much sounds the same of what it was, except it's fresh. It says like fresh broccoli, red delicious apple, and ice cold milk, along with the 4-star mac and cheese with the dimple. So yes.
With the new contract that we signed with them, is there anything specific in regards to like quotas that we have to meet, or is there any threshold where they say that they can pull out, or I mean, I'm just curious to see, because what comes to my mind is that, because they're new, like, are they willing to do like a discount for a month or a couple of weeks for kids to try it and see if they like it? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm more concerned with, are we going to have this issue? Gourmet Gorilla's been around for quite some time, right?
I think we started them in 2020.
So I'm just curious if if it's going to be a revolving door, because not too many kids are buying it, and how do we get parents excited and maybe have them try it before they make that judgment?
Yeah, it's a very complicated process that the Illinois School Board of Education has to approve every step of and the cost of. So they don't even have the ability to say, okay, we're going to discount this. They just don't have that ability. In fact, what their lunch to us is $4.99. What we charge families is $4.35, which actually is less than what we were charging, what we were being charged through Gourmet Gorilla. I think it's mostly going to come from, especially at Giles, because the issue is more Giles. At Lee, there's usually 80 to 120 kids that order lunch, depending on what it is. At Giles, we might have had 30 kids ordering lunch on any given day, because the food was, like I said, the kindergarten meal was the same as the 8th grade meal. There was nothing different about it. Now they have that flexibility to be able to actually give more food. So they will be meeting the needs of the students better. So I would anticipate it'll go up. Uni Ridge and Penoyer, this is their first year using Organic Life, and they have seen more and more of an increase. And do keep in mind, we are on their contract. So we just were an addendum onto the Union Ridge, Penoyer, and Rosemont contract. So it would be very unusual for them to cancel all 4 of us at this point.
Could you put the other districts in the newsletter, parents? Could you?
I don't know, I can't. Oh, you mean just that, as far as they have the type of lunch
Yeah,
service? Sure.
just mentioning that these other districts use this company, and you might go a long way.
Yep. I've read the contracts. Yes, I can do that. I have not sent anything out yet because I need the board approval on the final contract tonight and then the final purchase of the materials tonight as well.
And those, sorry, I'm just thinking about the additional equipment, is that pretty much standard? So
Yes.
if a new group comes in, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a warmer, it's fridge, because all the materials that we have, our equipment we have right now is all belongs to Gourmet Gorilla, so they will take everything on the 13th of February, and then everything will come in after that, so that's ready to go on the 18th. The big piece, which we have actually applied for and received a grant from ISB, is the warmer. Right now, we're doing a warmer table, but like the big warmer cart. It could be which isn't something we normally have. Right now, they get a hot pack and a cold pack, so they warm it up in an oven, they pull it out, they give the child a hot pack and a cold pack. Sometimes there's like extra vegetables or an extra roll or something like that. This is actually a really great thing for our students. I think they'll be very excited about it. So once it is approved tonight, we'll be able to roll this out. Moving on. Tonight in the consent area, I have the resolution of Vision 2030, which is from the Illinois State Board of Education. They are asking us to sign into a resolution on the following 4 goals. Number 1, it states that we are future-driven and that we want to focus on these skills for more college and career exploration for our students. Number 2, we want to enhance school safety and well-being. Number 3, we want to attract and retain a high-quality and diverse educator pipeline. Number 4, we want to promote curriculum and educational flexibility to meet the unique needs of local communities. What I am recommending that we sign into this resolution. This resolution does not give us anything specific other than these 4 goals, and I think the board would really enjoy that it does state to meet the unique needs of local communities. I think we're going to see much more of a focus of local communities making more decisions on what they locally want to offer.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Sure. Goal 3 talks about how we want to attract teachers into the profession of education that are high quality. So that means that we want to focus on professional development for our teachers. We want to focus on building the future of our educational staff. It does not mean that we have to hire a certain level of education of teacher or a teacher from a certain ethnic background. It just means that we believe that we want to build teachers and attract good teachers. Any other questions about this?
I'm just hypothetical question, if you know what's happening.
Nothing. No, it is in the consent tonight. If any member chooses to not approve that tonight, then we would need to pull that out separately and then, either table it or roll it. We'd have to do it at the time. Correct. When you ask for a motion for consent, a second motion, and then a discussion piece, then someone can say, if they so choose, I want to pull out item, I don't have that from me, whatever the item number is, and then you can vote on that separately, or you can decide to table it.
And if you decide to table that for more information, because I just want to make sure we're signing something, for, I mean, I get it, they're very general goals, and I agree to a lot of them, but I just don't know what we're signing is.
The resolution is in the, I've sent it out to you, and it is in board book tonight. But again, if you're not comfortable with that, we can pull that out and take more time with it, or we don't have to do it at all. This is just a request from the School Board of Education. I did check with all the surrounding districts at a meeting I was at last week. Everyone else has signed it, but that doesn't mean that we need to.
exactly what is on.
Right.
Here. There's not much more provision.
But it's not holding us to anything
It is
either,
not.
right? It's just saying, like, we think that these are generally good.
Correct. It's like guiding the Illinois State Board of Education to focus on these 4 goals over the next 10 years. Which, just as we look at our strategic plan, that can fit many different things. Down at the bottom there, as you see, I've included all of the areas of our strategic plan because all of that has to do with what's written up here, like enhancing school safety and well-being, or high-quality educators, of course, if they are given time to work together as one of our strategic goals, we're then, could see some achievement in this. The correlation between that.
So ISB typically has like every year they come and do an evaluation, right?
Of the school district?
Yes.
No.
Who does it?
West 40
West 40. And is that
comes
your-
out, excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. West 40 comes out, so we have certain compliance things that are yearly, but every 5 years, West 40 comes out for the big compliance visit where they look at all of our policies, they look at all of our practices, they walk our buildings. That compliance visit was my first year, so 2 years ago. So we should see that back in the next couple
So
of
if
years.
if we sign this, does that become part of the evaluation of what's true?
No. No, that is not part of the evaluation of West 40. If we sign it or not, does not have any bearing on our statute or our points as a district.
To me, I mean, once again, I mean, when you're signing and committing something, but they're saying, you're really not gonna be held, but sign this and say your vision is the same, it's just kind of interesting to me if we're gonna commit to something, and you don't have to, I'm a few, but we sign something.
It should have called it acknowledgement.
Yeah.
An acknowledgement of the vision.
I was going to say, it seems purposely vague, so that way, I feel like if they come back and they call us on something, well, you said you were going to keep your students safe and we trusted you with their well-being, well, you didn't do that, and you agreed to do this, that's
Yeah, exactly.
what is that truly?
So this isn't the first time they've had this. They had Vision 2020. That, and I don't have that in front of me exactly what was included in that. I'm sure they're very similar about focus on learning. But to my knowledge, they didn't come back to district and say that. But I understand what you're saying.
I read it differently though. I read it as intentionally vague so that, maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I read it as intentionally vague so that every community can kind of adjust as needed.
But it could not be, right?
Like I said, looking at the goals, I mean, yeah, they fit, but, that they want a complete signature and that you can do what you want. That's fine.
If you look at the bottom of this, and I must have gotten this last time, I don't know if I had it. There's a ton of different groups that we are joining in on this. You know, and so, I don't know, I haven't even heard of a lot of these groups. But it's 2025, so I'm goal driven, so if we had a vision 2020, shouldn't there have been I don't want to say post-mortem, but post-2020 to see where we landed before we come up with 2030?
They did that. I think I sent you that one. PowerPoint did close out 2020 and did tell you where we were with it, but I can share that again.
See, that wasn't enough info for me, but, okay. And then the only thing that, you know, like, I'm hesitant, like Renzo, but I don't understand whereas predictable funding should address strengthening public education through pension reform. I don't understand what the point of that is. Because the pension is already set up. And we are well into that. So, I don't know what, I education public's going to do other than maybe irritate some people? I don't know.
They could be talking about the tier 2 system, I'm not sure, but that would be my guess there.
And then the only other concern I have is we already have our governor that has that 2027 date with no mention of how to fund it. So how does that come into this? I don't know.
I could say that they probably would say it fits into this with goal 1 and goal 4, but not financially. Just stating that you're looking for the future driven. You know, when you look at those college and career exploration plans, our plan goes all the way down to kindergarten. What a kindergarten student should be doing to plan for their college and career, what a first grade student, second grade, all the way through to Bridgewood, 12th grade. Which has to do with everything. You're attracting the teachers, promoting curriculum. Sounds like we may just want to table this. And either get some more information. It's very vague, so I think pretty much everything I have I've sent you, but I will look into it some more and get some other information.
And we're going to be put on some naughty list because they want it done December 2024 or January 2025.
We will not put it on the naughty list.
Okay.
There's no funding pulling back or anything like that if we don't do it.
Okay.
It sounds like we use it mostly for like lobbying to legislators, that's
Sure,
this is
that's
why
exactly.
school boards use
Yeah,
it.
and all of the different organizations you're talking about, like the unions are all on board with it. The School Board Association has signed into it. The school board or the school financial organizations have signed into it. All of the organizations that exist.
Looking at the last paragraph, be it further resolved that the Board of Education urges the Illinois General Assembly to approve the necessary legislative changes to implement the recommendations under the 3 pillars of education improvement as contained in the Vision 2030 policy. I think that is the real gist. It's almost as if getting as many possible districts to sign this is almost like a very, very large petition to sway the Illinois General Assembly to make what the State Board of Education feels are the right decisions to support this. But as other board members are saying, it's the vagueness of, there is some vagueness involved for the goals, what, how they can be interpreted different people, I don't know. To be honest, I feel the general harmless. It's an endorsement of the politics to sign. But if we're not comfortable with it.
The interesting part is I get it, we need to look at a 5-year strategic plan, but in 5 years, there can be so many different faces that got support that, you know, you're signing something, you know, hey, sure, I'll sign, I'm not gonna be here for 2030 anyways, you know, and what scares me is the vagueness, and we talked about it, but it's like, if we sign it, and it's so vague that anything could come out of it, right? Like, they could say, well, this is what we actually meant by this, right? You know, once it passes through legislation, I think our vision and goal as a district is all this. I mean, we have to sign something to say we're gonna do that, you know, like that's our vision as a board and a district that we wanna do it. I don't know. We don't have to spend much more time, but it would be my recommendation to take a look to get a little bit comfortable with that system.
No, that sounds fine. I think it sounds like we should table it. So that is absolutely fine. Once we get there, once we have the motion, the second motion, and the discussion part, then we just need to action case. Which is that. You would always pull anything out from the consent agenda and table. Okay. the RFP for architect. We have been given the go-ahead from our legal team to put out our request for qualifications for a new architect for the district. Here is the plan. On January 21st, I am seeking approval for the RFQ and process. On January 30th, the public notice would be shared. Mrs. Garcia will email that out, and it'll also appear in the paper. And that she will email out to all architect firms. And then on February 17th, Mr. Sellers and I will hold an informational meeting and building tours for all interested architect firms. March 4th, the proposals are due. And then the process then is an interview process. So from March 20th to April 8th, the committee would hold interviews. So it's a little different than an RFP. When you go out for an RFP, you have to go with your lowest bid if they're qualified. In this case, we don't even talk any fees until the committee actually recommends a firm, and then the superintendent is asked to negotiate a fee with the firm. And then at that point, we would bring on May 22nd to the board approval of an architect. Mr. Tribuzzi and I spoke about the committee, and it would be Mrs. DeVore, Mr. Sellers, and I, and Mr. Tribuzio, and then we were talking about having one person from the community involved as well, an individual. Those interviews, we would be interviewing our top three picks during the day, so there's a day commitment to that. And then we would decide which ones are our top three, and then or top one, and then I would negotiate a fee at that point. So it's a little different than the RFPs that we've done in the past. RFPs, we've had the amount right there when we open them. It's a very sealed process. We open them right at that time, and then you have to, log everything. So this has the logging, but just is very different.
How did we decide to go architect?
This is how you get an architect. This is just the architect plan. We don't have an option in our architect search is more about the relationship than the finances. Not to say that it's, to the moon on whatever it costs, but it's more about the relationship with the individual. So we'll make sure we write into our agreement that the individual who we meet with for the interview is going to represent our district. And then also a plan that if that individual leaves, how do we, try that conversion, just so we always have a key. An individual knows our building, knows our plan, and can work with us on realizing and financing, figuring out what our plan is for the future of our buildings. So I'm really excited about this. I think it'll be nice to have some new eyes on our 10-year life safety plan. We have to update some things that have been done in our 10-year life safety plan. In fact, quite a bit of our things we can cross off. So we'll begin with that, and then on, as I mentioned, February 17th, Mr. Sellers and I will walk the group around the buildings and let them see everything that we have and everything we have. Potentially.
The challenging part when, as a school district, when we do an RFP, let's just say I have an architect firm and I want to participate in this. I can FOIA all our spending I think FOIA, like what we spent with an architect, like what information you give, because the challenging part is that they didn't know what the other company was charging us per hour, per project, or look at stuff, and then, that's the thing that's unfortunate. I know I participate in RFPs all the time, and I would love to know what people were charging before as I get into it, because I could just undercut it $1 and I look like a hero, right? So that's the frustrating part. So when someone FOIAs it, we have to, there's nothing we can restrict.
It depends on what the FOIA is right now. We have to remember with FOIAs, you don't have to create something new for anyone. It has to be an existing document in the district. So if someone can't come in and say, tell me everything you paid.
Right, so if someone says, itemized project spending for your architect or whatever, and you see the contract and they look at it and like, okay, well, this company spent X, will come in cheaper, and realistically, they can, maybe they're really cheaper, but at the end of the day, they'll just go higher, but lower than what you were paying before, you know what I'm saying? That's the challenging part.
It's always the challenging part, even with an RFP, especially with an RFP.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get a FOIA for, in fact, we just got a FOIA for our cleaning service information. So someone asking for, how much do we pay, when's our last contract? When
And we have to submit that.
Yes, I haven't looked at this one as clearly, but I'm sure we will.
Talking tells me that architectural firms in certain districts already have a pretty good idea of what their peers and competitors are charging. And because all of them are so governed by each district for what they can charge, how far they can go in this project. But I do see the point.
And it is a fee negotiation process. So it isn't just if they say this is what it is, but it is a process of negotiating. And that comes more with how much I do my homework and understanding what other people are being charged as well.
Do they have access to what people are bidding within the RFQ or not? Okay.
No, and they don't have a money bid in the RFQ. So when we receive the RFQ, there's no numbers in there.
But you're going to probably get to a point where you're having 3 or 4 people bid, and you like if you're comfortable with.
Well, so the committee meets, interviews, and then the top 3 are picked. And then I would go on and take the top 1 and negotiate with that further.
Oh, okay, so that comes after.
It comes after. It comes after they're already picked. And then if that doesn't work out, we go on to the second one. We just say, no, we're not gonna do that fee, if you can't meet this, then we're gonna go on to our second pick, and then we're able to do that. That's why there's so much time involved, and such gaps of time, because that's a process that takes time. Any other questions? Okay, just a little update on the Power School breach. I did send this out to the board and to the community and the teachers. I think I shared with you at the end of December. We were notified in January about a breach with Power School where some of their information, actually I think all of their information was stolen. They did negotiate with the individuals that took the information, so it is supposed to be destroyed at this point. We don't know if that's true, but that is what they did. So they are continuing to investigate the incident. For us, no social security numbers are housed in public school, not any staff, not any students, nothing like that. We're working with our legal counsel and our cybersecurity provider to monitor the situation. So there have been reports that Mr. Job has been filling out, Mrs. DeVore has been filling out interviews with both of them as well. We're looking for a full report of the incident to be shared from Power School shortly, and then additional information will be shared with family and staff. Looking at Power School right now, what's out there are students' names, parents' names, addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, and then the staff side. The staff side is kind of hit or miss. Some staff addresses, but not all. Some staff phone numbers, but not all, are housed in Power School. That is not our main place that we house staff information. I'm sure we will hear more information about this soon. This is one of the areas, if you recall last year, we upped our cybersecurity insurance to $3 million, which isn't a lot, but is a lot. And this is just something that's happening all over the world right now.
If someone wants to pursue their upset, are we liable?
We are not, no.
Who is Power School?
Excuse me, yes.
You have to email it out to parents, to GAA.
I did not get anything from either the union, the teachers, or parents, or the board, actually. I didn't hear.
so when I was looking at the bills, there's a Power School invoice for 10,000.
It's redoing
And
Power School
it's-
for next year.
Yes, so it's from February until next January.
Correct.
So should we pay that or, please, should we pay it?
We do
Because-
need Power School.
Okay, I'm just curious, you know.
So Power School is our student information system. It's not just the information system that we use to house our own information, it's what we use to communicate all the information with the state. So we upload everything from Power School to the state, classes, coursework,
Okay.
rates, everything gets uploaded to the state, teachers, from Power School. We are in the process of looking at other companies that have nothing to do with this breach. That process takes about a year and a half. So we made that decision to go ahead and approve, I don't know why it's February, that just seems so strange to me. But it is a February approval, so we went ahead and approved it even before this breach. We did that approval, and then we will continue to still look at a different system. Not because of this breach, but because we're looking for a system that's a little more user-friendly for our families. Power School has come out with some changes on their website that we have not rolled out yet for our families. We have just rolled it out so far for our admin staff to kind of feel, but it is a little more comfortable for families to go in. Our biggest concern, as I have spoken to you about, is one place to hold everything. So currently, right now, parents have to go in and order lunch at Gourmet Grill, they have to pay for it in Push Point, they have to go look at grades on Mastery Connect, and it's just not a good product. So what we are looking at is trying to bring that all together. There is an opportunity to bring that all together in Power School. That is something we're looking at as well. Any kind of change, though, in your SIS system requires you for a little while to run both of them, and it's very costly to start up a new SIS system. And it truly is. So we're still investigating it. We've had a couple of systems, other systems come out and do some presentations for us. Mr. Joe and Mrs. DeVore are working on looking at those different systems with us as well and how we can be more effective and efficient. One thing that I will speak about when I get to registration, which is not next, but when I get there, is we are looking at a new fee system. I'm not sure we're going to be up there right away during this school year for our fees, but we should be by next school year, and that system actually has a link in Power School. Currently, right now, parents only go in Power School to register. That's it. So we would really like parents to be able to go into whatever system that is to pay their fees, to order their lunch, to look at grades. But that is just a process. Okay, today I'm bringing you the proposed summer school plan. Summer school would begin on June 9th and end on June 30th. That is 15 days of summer school. There's no school, as you know, on June 19th, which is a federal and state holiday. And then a planning day for teachers would be set for June 6th. Now, I have shared with you in the past that we are going to have to look at an increase in our fees for summer school because we only have a very few dollars in a grant for tuition. Now, we have used ESSER money in the last few years after COVID. However, as you know, ESSER money is over. We do have a limited number of seats for students in the Title I grant. So what I am proposing is $150 per child. So it's $15 days at $10 a day for 4 hours. Parents have to pay by check to be registered. There are a limited number of seats, and it'll go by teacher recommendation, and then at conferences on March 11th and 13th, parents who are being recommended would receive a voucher to attend summer school for free, and then April 25th, we would close registration and all payments must be made by that date. This will allow us to finish staffing after April 25th, and then plan for the program.
the first year, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first year that they're going to get reimbursed?
Last year, they paid $80 and were not reimbursed.
And how was the enrollment?
Oh, it stayed the same, about 159 or 64. In the past, before COVID, before, when we used to run summer school in like 2016, 17, we used to charge $175 per child for the 15 days. So it is still less than we've done in the past, and we did also have money in a grant during that time, for sure. Summer school should pay for itself. So next month I would review the plan for approval. Last month I talked to you about a proposed registration residency, and that I wanted to rethink some of this. So here's what I am asking you to look at and approve for next month. We would open the portal, and this is our residency registration portal on March 1st, and we would close it on May 1st. Now, we have in the past just left that open, and we started August this year with approximately 150 families that didn't complete registration. That is a problem for us. Not only is it a problem for our staffing to get that finished, but it's also a problem for scheduling with students. And it really causes, especially at Giles, a lot of issues with trying to get students into advisories and change at the last minute. So I would like to encourage families to open up, to register throughout the months of March and April. So what I am recommending is that the curriculum technology fees are paid at the time of registration during the registration residency process. Fee waivers forms would be required if anyone would like a fee waiver. What we do now is on July 1st, the state of Illinois puts out a list of families that qualify for free or reduced lunch. As you know, the board has decided to then waive fees of individuals who are on that list that receive SNAP or TANF. We no longer waive fees for Medicaid. So what I am proposing is that we change that and we don't automatically waive fees, but instead we just tell people just to fill out a fee waiver. We still waive fees for people who receive SNAP or TANF or who qualify under income. We wouldn't be stopping that, but that we don't do this automatic process in July, and we say that people have to apply for a fee waiver. This is something we should do in the district. This will then allow us to post fees into Pushcoin or whatever we're using at the time, which I think will be Pushcoin right now. And telling families that they need to complete that registration and the curriculum fees at that time. Instead, what we have right now is we have a early bird. If you pay by August 1st, you get a 5% discount, which we have seen some success with. The problem is the families that don't pay by August 1st, they don't pay by August 2nd or December 5th. And we're sending out bills month after month after month and making phone calls and phone calls and phone calls, and we're still sitting here in January trying to collect fees. So looking around at other school districts, Park Ridge, Union Ridge, Ridgewood, Penoyer, they require fees to be paid at the point of registration. Of course, if people need a payment plan, we'll work with them. If people need a waiver, we'll work with them. But the majority of their fees then are paid at the registration process. And then what they do is they charge a fee if you are registered after May 1st. Penoyer actually gives a much smaller window, only 30 days for this process. I'm recommending 60 since it's new for our parents. And then we would then do the opposite. I know that the board wanted to give a bonus to families that paid early, but I think we need to look at it as we are giving them the bonus by paying between March 1st and May 1st. And then after that, we are actually charging a $25 late fee. The new things that will happen in registration this year is it will be through PowerSchool, and it is one form now. So you don't have Form A, and B, and Form J, and Form K, and are my forms approved, are my forms not approved, has always been the confusing part. So instead, it's one form that parents complete, and inside that form are the areas to upload your residency information. So no longer are you going out to take a residency information and sending that to the residency email, where then we're trying to figure out, okay, whose residency stuff is this, and does this match up with that person? You upload it right in there. You cannot complete registration until you've uploaded your forms. We then approve it. You'll see one approval. No more confusion about, well, A's approved but not J, and what do I do with K? And I didn't sign the affidavit. It'll be one approval, and then it'll be much clearer and easier for our parents. And they would then have to go into push one now and pay that. If we have a different pay system that can be in PowerSchool at that point, then we will have that all pulled together. Where you go and you register, one form, upload all your residency stuff, pay your fees, you're done. Everything is finished. And
How do we get, everybody's paid the fee? Do they have to pay the late fee?
yes, if they don't pay the fee by May 1st, or contact us with either a waiver, a payment plan, or some type.
And my second question is that normal that fee? 25?
Yes. 25 is actually cheap. Many districts do 50. We can't, since this is our first time. I was trying to be gentle and kind in this process, but we can. In fact, it's so interesting, Park Ridge, if you don't register by their date, they send you a transfer form, and they assume you're not returning to their school anymore, and they transfer you out.
But I was just gonna say, like, I'm sorry, we went with the kindergarten, you know, this was my idea, that worked out. I think we should go strong again.
I agree. It is very frustrating to get people to fill out.
Right.
And they're not that taxing. Really, your information is there, you're approving your information, you're uploading your forms, which shouldn't be a big deal, and well, you don't have to give the water bill, you can give a internet bill, you can give a cell phone bill, you have any other bills like that. And since we don't have in person, and we'll do in person, but we're not forcing people to come in person, we don't have the issues we've had in the past with, you know, maybe dad's name is on this, but mom's name is on that. Like, we just upload in the one name, whoever it is, it's much easier. If it's dad's ID, and dad's name on the mortgage, and dad's name on the bill, we're perfect. Which I did also research that, and all the area schools do that same process. They need everyone's name on the lease, they need everyone's name on the bills, they all have that same process. Which is good to know, just because that makes me feel better that we're in line. Then in Park Ridge, for example, if they send you that transfer form for the next year, you have to re-register completely. You have to bring in your birth certificate again, you have to bring in everything. So while that sounds like a lot of work for your office, I wonder how often, you know, if parents just say, well, I gotta get it done. I don't wanna pay an extra fee, I don't wanna have to re-register.
So, for anyone that already has a residual fee outstanding, is that going to be addressed like at May 1st?
It always is.
I was just gonna say.
It always is. I'll be honest with you, where it really hits is 8th grade. Because sometimes there will be families that leave a fee out there in 7th grade and they hit 8th grade. And if you don't have your fees paid in 8th grade, well, we can't hold graduation from families, we can hold the dance, we can hold the trip. That is usually literally a conversation daily between Mr. Biecki, and now it will be Mrs. Gullo, and the district office on what students are released to attend these events. So they do pay before they leave. We haven't had anyone not do that. Well, we do ask for the money when they leave our district.
Grade transfer.
And we do have a collections company that we work So would the board like me to entertain a $50 fee as the slate fee?
Yes.
Everyone's good to bring that?
Yeah.
Okay, then I will bring this to the board next time.
Where it says residency, obviously we have all these issues of, potential people out of district. During registration, do you think it'd bring any value if you have like, where it says additional, okay, or something like that?
The affidavit that they signed?
Yeah.
Does state that on there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have been, Mrs. Cynthia and I have been interviewing new residency firms.
Okay. I'm just maybe scared.
I don't want to speak too much about that. But yes. Okay, so proposed calendar for 25-26. So again, I would be bringing this to the board in February. What we're proposing is August 21st and 22nd is Teacher Institute Days. Now this is a little different than we've done in the past. Usually that Monday and Tuesday are Teacher Institute Days, and then we start school on Wednesday. So what we're proposing instead is kind of moving to the Thursday and Friday as Teacher Institute Days, and then the first day of student attendance would be that Monday as a half day, and then they would continue Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, full days. The fall break would be the week of Thanksgiving. The winter break would be those same 2 weeks as they have been. Spring break is tied into Easter there, so the return after spring break would be on a Tuesday, not on the Monday. And then the last day of student attendance, which is kind of funny because June 5th has been our last day of student attendance in the last few years. It just depends on how things fall. That would be June 5th. And then, of course, with our 5 emergency days would actually be June 12th, because we do put 5 emergency days onto the calendar. So we actually put in a 185-day calendar. The winter break and the spring break are the same as Ridgewood. Ridgewood does not take all of the days off in Thanksgiving break. The calendars at Knoyer and Union Ridge, which we don't always mirror exactly. Knoyer really goes more toward Main District. Union Ridge, we're usually pretty in line. However, they're going to be starting much later next year and taking much fewer days off because of their construction schedules with their reference. So it's a little bit different. They're starting after Labor Day. But we are in line with Ridgewood. Now, Ridgewood starts earlier than we do because they want to get to that 180-day mark or the 90-day mark for their finals before break, or at least where they want them to be, so that is a little bit different on the schedule. But that's always been done. One thing that I don't have total information on tonight that I do want to talk to you about also is some area schools have been putting down March 17th as an e-learning day. That is a local election. This year, the local election on April 1st is during our spring break, so it's not an issue. We won't be in school. March 17th, we are projected to be in school of the next school year. So what we do on election day, since Lee is a polling place and that is not something we can get changed, because it is our civic duty to be a polling place. We put down the half divider here. We have stationed a police officer for the day right over there. We do the voting right here in this part of the gym, and then we have the doors on the side over here open. One, the ramp for ADA access, straight ahead for the stairs area. Parents, people, community members come in and vote here. We are in school, Lee School, when this is going on. So one option that schools have been looking at is asking the state for an e-learning day automatically on their calendar on March 17th. So I want to get the opinion of the board on that date. I really would hate to take it off completely. It's just a random day we'd be taking off, and it would move us all over another day. But we can if the board feels that's important. I have received some emails in the past from parents that are concerned about safety. I mean, quite frankly, people come into this building and I don't know what it is, everyone needs to use the bathroom. So we would be, going down the hallway for bathroom access for individuals that come in. So that is a concern. So I don't know, what does the board think about that? If the state allows this, first of all.
I think learning is okay. I do agree that a lot of my parents that learning parents leaving on school day and holding class. I mean, this is what I would call your pre-planned e-learning thing is on the map, but I would agree with it.
I agree. And is there any impact to the North Park district?
As far as the times and that they would have in our building,
Yeah.
so they are in our building for morning before care and for after care. The students are here, that wouldn't happen. And as long as they had that on their plan, if it was something with the enrichment program, they would just not meet that day. And if we knew ahead of time, I don't think that would be an issue. Think of anything else? They're over in the other section. There is a doorway, if you go across that is locked, and it does have alarm on it. So I think that wouldn't be an issue if somebody did try to go that way into their area. Other than that, I think we would have everything. So now with our new alarm locks at Lee, if we did have this door access to the bathroom, you couldn't get in the office, you can't get in the district office, you can't get in tiger territory, you can't get down that hallway, and you can't get into the lunchroom, you can't get into any of the 102 offices. So you could get into those two bathrooms. And that would be it. Even this hallway that runs alongside here, you couldn't get into the side of. So I would be very comfortable with that.
Is it possible that around that time there's like a teacher's planning day that it could be swapped out? Like where we could do we could change the day and look at the calendar, if it's a teacher's planning day or.
That is something we can look at, right? We are allowed 4 teacher institute days. Right now, 2 of them are at the beginning of August to get the year started. One of them is typically the first day of January, which in this case is January 5th. That's why the students are returning to the Tuesday. And then the other one is typically the Friday before Memorial Day. But it's something that the committee can explore though. And then we would need to move the teachers to Giles for the day, because we wouldn't want to hit the teachers in the building either, for their safety as well. Which we could do. Would you like me to explore that as well?
That's my opinion.
Who else thinks the possibility of e-learning day is within reason? Wait, who? She's saying if at March 17th, if it's better to have to pre-plan an e-learning day so that kids don't come to school on that election day, in which this half of the gym is used as a poll.
Would the e-learning day mimic the whole day, just like they were in school? Or is it a short day?
No, e-learning does actually mimic the whole thing now. Some of it might be, the teacher is doing individual time with kids. So each kid may not be on the entire time.
I guess the question would be, first is, who's against having school during poll? So if everyone says no, like I don't like that I think the next option is, our only option is e-learning, or looking into maybe possibly lining that up with a teacher institute day. I think that's the first thing. Is everyone not feel comfortable with holding day when kids in school? Right? You know, if we're thinking that way, I think that's the decision. If no one says, hey, I don't want that, then we have to look at other options that will pop out from the e-learning or
Do we agree that we generally, we can kids not being in school for voting day fest.
Yeah, yes.
I can look into our options. We're not approving anything tonight, and I bring that to the board next month when we approve the calendar and the options. And I will look into an e-learning day, and I will look into the teacher and student day for that day, and what our options are.
Do you know when we know, you said other neighbor districts asked for approval to do like a pre-planned e-learning day? Do you know how long does it take to hear back from the state or something like that?
I would imagine it's actually West 40 that's doing the approval of that, and I don't think it'll take long.
So, I'm sure there's a lot to do, but like, what's the protocol if you say, hey, listen, we've split districts, our schools, like, could Giles be the polling place versus Lee? Like, who do you propose that to? Because I think the setup is a little bit easier because of the in and out and bathroom situation. Like, how do you even go about, who do you need to talk to say, hey, can we change, instead of Lee as a polling place, make Giles a polling place? Is that even possible?
So it's Cook County that controls that. Mr. Sellers and I both spoken with Cook County on different occasions and trying to get it out of our school to begin with. We did also talk to them about moving it to Giles. The problem is that causes them to have to rezone everything because they have specific zones in the streets that this group of streets go here and this group of streets go here, and they are territorial to where your polling place is.
You have to walk to, you have to have the ability to walk to.
Right. So we have tried both of those options. Okay, I will look into that. Our calendar. Okay, that brings us to proposed fees. We have many proposed things for this month. Currently, right now, we do put a fee on preschool, even though many of our students are covered under the PFA grant. There's still an option for tuition, so we do need to approve that. So currently, right now, we're $2,800 on tuition for preschool, which is half day, and then the second half of the kindergarten day, both are $2,800. I am proposing that to increase to $3,000 for a full day. Just looking at some comparisons in the area, and this is difficult to find, but Park Ridge is $3,250 in a comparison on the second half of the day. St. Eugene's is $6,950 for their full day. So even if you looked at like half of that, in essence, that would even be in the $3,400, $3,500 range. Unirich and Penoy are free on their half-day programs, as we were before we cut our half-day program. If you recall, our half-day program, full-day program was cut to half-day during our deficit reduction plan. The plan at the time was that the families who were receiving the extra services would then pay for the services instead of looking at passing a referendum or looking at changing our tax base. So I am recommending that that goes up slightly. We have not increased this in 2 years. And then over to technology and curriculum fees. I am recommending $180, which is $170 this year for preschool fees. And then I am recommending an increase in kindergarten through 8th grade fees from $250, $255 to $275. Quite frankly, paper is expensive. Books are expensive. Consumables that we purchase a lot of, they're expensive. So we've seen an increase on that, and when we factor in, the principals worked on their curriculum lists over winter break, we factor that in. With our technology, our continuing of insurance for our Chromebooks, and that fee, that we're looking at an increase to $275. Again, looking at some comparisons. Park Ridge, from kindergarten through 5th grade is $227, 6th through 8th is $315, and then Union Ridge is $255, Noyer's $285, St. Eugene $650, and there's a bunch of hours you have to do, and lottery tickets you need to buy, and there's a lot of stuff going on over there. But that is their actual fees, is $650. So looking at the comparisons, I am very comfortable asking for that increase of 275. And again, we certainly will accept waivers for any families who receive SNAP or TANF and or at an income level that is below the poverty level.
What years kindergarten districts are you responsible for?
27, 28.
So this is technically for.
No, two. Yeah, next year 25, 26, then 26, 27, 27, 28. Which we are already planning. We bring in about $160,000 revenue. It's significant. Any questions on this? Yeah, not asking you to approve that tonight. That would be next month. So a couple of things about the Board of Education that I want to mention tonight. On April 1st, there is an election for board members. We have 3 open seats. To my knowledge, 2 people are running. I don't know if anyone is going to put their name in as a write-in. If someone does not, then we probably are looking at a process of appointing a new member at some point, which would involve putting out applications, people applying, interviewing, in a closed session meeting, and then the board would get to appoint based on our policies. We are scheduled right now for a reorganization meeting on May 1st. At that meeting, that is when the board will end the current board that we have right now, and then open up the new board, which will be the board that is elected at the April 1st election or appointed. At that point, the board has the opportunity of nominating officers, re-looking at committees, and then also looking at meeting dates. So just give you a heads up on that May 1st, that's going to be here before you. It's coming soon. I know that sounds like it's far away, but it's not. Then the other thing I wanted to speak with you about is in Illinois School Code, a board is supposed to be looking at their closed session recordings every 6 months, reviewing them. The superintendent is supposed to review them. And then make a recommendation on the closed session recordings. To my knowledge, this hasn't been done for years. So this is something that I need to start to work on, and I would like to bring to you in the February meeting. So what this will be, I will review the closed session minutes, recordings, and then I will make a recommendation to either destroy a recording or to keep a recording based on what information is out there. And I can share more of that when I actually make the recommendation. The minutes that Ms. Garcia creates are archived forever, but the recordings need to be reviewed every 6 months and make decisions about. So I'd like to start that process and bring that to you in February. And I'm thinking like February and August would be the timeline. Policy update. Tonight I am asking the board in consent to update policy 117 and then policies 102, 120, and 130. Those were the district changes. We've talked about these the last few months, so I didn't go into any detail on either of those. I am going to ask us to put a hold on our district policy review, so tonight we don't have the 500s for you. What we're seeing is some change in our government, some change in leadership that may put some more change into some of our policies. In fact, the work that we did on 116 has now been overturned by the government. And I'll go a little deeper into that in a moment. So I'm just recommending we put a little hold on that for right now, on our policies. We are reviewing the 400s tonight, which I do have a couple of edits that I wanted to talk to you about. 411 discusses the annual budget. There's just some strange spaces or lack of spaces in this, so it's just more of a cleaning up of the spaces in that area. 4:170, which talks about safety. I just want to update the board that I did review all of our safety drills with the Board of Education in September. We are working on changing some of those names, which I have not given that to the board yet to approve. I am meeting with the area superintendents on Friday. We may have that for approval, but we may not until a little bit later. And we are fully in compliance with our AED policies and procedures. We did talk at our last admin meeting, and Mr. Sellers is working on, I think we need another AED for Giles. We don't have one really that accessible up by door 2 by where the office is. So we'd like to put an additional one in Giles. We have one in the nurse's office, we have one down by the gym. Here we have one right here, and then out by where the preschool area is, and of course the nurse's office. So we would like to add another one into Giles. So Mr. Sellers is working on the purchase of that, and then he and Mrs. Garcia are working on putting our AEDs and their batteries and everything about them into our inventory system so that we make sure we are up to date on that. We're completely in compliance at this point, but we are looking at purchasing them. There wasn't any change in that, I just wanted to give you an update on that. In 4:19D, I have been asked by a board member to add local law enforcement among the list of different organizations in that paragraph that we work with on our safety plan, which makes sense to me. And we are not taking action on any of these tonight. This will not be until next month. Now, the policy that I want to draw your attention to, 4:175. So this policy states that the superintendent or designee will perform fingerprint-based criminal history record information checks and or screenings required by state law or board policy for employees, student teachers, students doing field or clinical experience other than student teaching, contractors, employees who have direct daily contact with one or more children, and resource personnel and volunteers. The Board of Education shall ensure these checks are completed for the superintendent. This is exactly why, one of the reasons I wanted to look at this policy. So what this policy states is that if we have volunteers coming in the building, for example, they're running the book fair, that we should have run fingerprint criminal background checks on them, and that is not currently done. What we do is we run their IDs through Raptor. Raptor is a process that looks for anyone that is found guilty of any criminal acts against children, criminal sexual acts against children. If we do have volunteers that come in to work, we also do run their backgrounds in the murder database. I know that sounds weird, but that's what it's called. So we do look at the state criminal sexual assault. We do look at the murder database, especially like for the preschool when we had the kids outside, the parents outside building that, we had run everyone through that. So I think we need to discuss if we are going to look at fingerprint-based criminal history records for volunteers. We do, of course, for all of our staff and employees. We do that already. So that's not an area. I'm just more concerned about resource persons and volunteers. Now, I believe Ridgewood looked at this year, where Ridgewood required everyone who was coming into the building to have a background check.
Background check
Or a criminal background check.
or fingerprinting? Just background.
The fingerprinting is the background check. What we do currently right now is we send people to the police department, which would be part of the cost of for our employees, and they do background. I don't think that's necessarily needed, but then I think we need to change our policy if that's not, and maybe we state something different.
So for any volunteers, who run the Raptor, murder,
That is a sex offender only.
murder.
Right, we have to physically go in and do the murder website.
Okay.
Sorry, there's not a better word for that.
So that alone,
You're talking about like all the dinners, right?
I'm talking everything.
Yeah, everything.
Having too much.
But now I want that. Traffic safety, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it.
But I'm saying,
it's, yeah, and we especially say that because we can walk into any event that has volunteers and we recognize that parent, and whoever's helping. It really comes into play when somehow there's a volunteer, you know, who recognizes it. I personally feel current practice is working and there is some thoroughness to it.
I mean, I get it, at the end of the day, it's what are the disadvantages of doing it? Time to run that, cost of fingerprinting, and what are they, I mean, what's the, I mean,
There's definitely a cost to the fingerprinting and a burden onto the Norwich Police Department, if we do that. And then, just the burden to families. I mean, think about if we have, PTA dance, any PTA event.
I get it, but
The last-
with that time, that there's something that happens, they'll be like, what, they didn't even check them? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, they are being checked.
Well, I'm saying, like, I don't know, I get it, like, is there a process where you do it once, and then if something happens where it triggers a fingerprint volunteer that they let you know, like, could it be done once and then they have it on file where?
Well, of course.
yeah,
It would only be
it's
once.
once, not
Yeah.
every time.
Yep. Also remember that it's pretty invasive to people.
No one's gonna want to.
Here's the thing.
People,
People.
you get everything.
Go to any year's 5 or 6 events for, let's say, a couple of events, the same 8 to 10 parents. Now and think of the dozens and dozens of parents that could. People got stuff to do, fine. Now you tell them, hey, if you really want to understand that you have to go through this, appointment with the police and go there, fingerprints, and some people do like a special which
At the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but, you know, that's the problem, I mean, because Ridgewood, I got into it, so, I mean, it wasn't, like.
You had to do a criminal background check?
Because I was in New Gym to do a junior rebels program, and they did it, and you know, at some point, could they also look at, oh, that's good, they know they're doing this, because it's, I don't know, like I said, I get it, but.
Could there be maybe a rewrite of our policy where we look at different situations? Like maybe in a situation when you're coming into the school in a supervised event, that we just run a screening through Raptor. But if you were coming in to rent space, as your example, then we would run through a more intensive. Because when people are in the building, and Dr. Rabiel and Mr. Bianchi, you can help me here, are they alone with the children?
So when when an individual enters our building, once they get through zone 3, which is into the building where the kids are, they're supervised. For example, IEP meeting, they're escorted to the conference room. At the conclusion of the meeting, they're escorted back to zone 2, where they get their ID and then they exit the building. Now, a PTA member that's working a book fair, they come in, they turn their ID in, get their lanyard, but then they're in for example, the LMC, the library, the entire day, or their shift.
Well, my opinion is, why don't you talk to the PTA and say, this, you know, what do you think this will, I mean, because they're a majority of volunteers, right? I mean, maybe it's a conversation with them. NSF and PTA and say, hey, this is something, do you think this will deter volunteers? What are your thoughts? I'll let them talk to their members.
I personally know we're running the book fair, and needs to get people to sign up, period. And if you're adding a fingerprinting process to it.
I get it, but at the
Yeah,
same
I
time,
would
it's
just
like,
say, like-
when you put I don't know.
Can I propose something?
Yeah, I'm with you, like, there's no right or wrong answer here. There could potentially be a wrong answer, I guess, but,
I have a proposal. Because the only reason this has come up is because we decided to review policy about the office. Let's at least change policy 175 or 175 to what we're doing right now. Then, in the meantime, she discusses it with PTA, is that?
So okay, so like, I get it. Right now, we have that in our policy. We're not really doing all that.
Correct.
So, I guess the question is, has it ever been done? Like, there's a reason why it was put in the policy. Was it ever done?
I can only go back to my knowledge and not to my knowledge, but things could have been done when I was teaching that I didn't know it was being done. So I won't say that.
Yeah. You remember, if we signed the Vision 2030, enhance student safety and well-being.
Are we okay with at least making this current, what we're doing currently, making that the language, then looking into this further, asking PTA, passing it as a,
What about your 8th grade trip that's overnight?
Yeah.
I feel like that is different.
We have shared that.
Is there not a way to background check without fingerprinting? I used to run at some camp, and we had camp counselors who would like fill out a background check form, but they were not required to like, go get fingerprinted.
What did the background check form say?
I know, actually, it was a third party, like, I didn't personally administer the background checks, but it was not something where we like sent them to go get fingerprinted, but they were definitely required to have background checks before we have them.
I can look into that. I don't know.
it is a fingerprinting part that seems to refuse.
It's cheaper to like fill out a form from the comfort of your computer at home versus going like making a minute or police station. We're worried about.
Yeah, and it is a criminal, it's a criminal history record, which is what's stated. So that's what I'm suggesting maybe. And it does say criminal history record information checks in our screens. I understand that, but we could just parcel out this language and change that around a little bit to match our practice and can work on some language. We can take a look at that next month. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, next part of policy. Last month we talked about 3:70 and the secession plan if the superintendent were not, I don't know, not here. We'll just leave it at that. And so in administrative procedures, so we have policy and then we also have administrative procedures. So looking at administrative procedures 3:70, this is what we currently have written. This is a superintendent, principal, director of special education. I am proposing a change on that and leaving superintendent and then moving directors with an S because we have multiple directors in the building, in the district. And then principals after, and obviously the principals running those respective buildings. But then if you're looking at the district level decisions, then that would be the directors, which we have technology, we have finance, we have student services. To kind of cover all of our bases on the district level of directors. And I am proposing we make that change to our succession plan. Any thoughts on that?
Do we know what other districts do?
Other districts do for directors.
About principals?
Correct. Versus assistant superintendents. You have to think of it as on the district level, like the superintendent's on the district level, not the building level. The building level, the principals would still run their buildings, but then on the district level, who is taking care of the district? And of course, looking at technology, looking at finance, and looking at student services, those are other main areas on the district level. Okay, we're almost there. Today, as part of our board book, I included the new evaluation tool that I'm asking the board to approve tonight. Mr. Sellers has been working on this new evaluation tool for the members of the Buildings, Grounds, and Maintenance Department. Before they had a tool that was just like a yes, no, you met it, you didn't meet it, so this has a lot more meat to it. It includes a rubric, it includes goals, and it includes list targets. So we would like to start using this tool right away to evaluate our members of the Buildings, Grounds, and Maintenance Department. He's done a very nice job with that.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah. He's done a great job with that.
It can be used for all sorts of.
Yeah, the rubric is focused on the events that they do in the school every day, but it also allows them to have good conversation, and if there is an area that needs to be worked on, it allows them to focus on that. The Giles Infrastructure Grant, woo-hoo, it has come through and finalized. So the final approval of the grant was received by me, I can't remember, a couple weeks ago. I did let the board know. It is a reimbursement program. So monthly, we would submit a finance statement, and then we would get reimbursed once that statement is approved. We're working, we do have a new architect we're looking at, so those main projects like the wood ceiling, the brick lintel, the electric panels, and the door locks installation are all included in that $175,000 infrastructure grant. So we'll be finalizing some of our statements on that and putting that together in the next upcoming months. This has about a year and a half to use. Very exciting. Final approval. They don't want you to move money around. So if we did decide to move something in the budget, we go back to the process, which can take, they said, like 8 to 12 months to finalize.
How long does it take to get a reimbursement?
They said once it's approved, then you would get the money. It's a monthly reimbursement. I'm excited about it, and I think we've done a lot of work and a lot of discussions on it, so we're glad it's finally here. Legislative, I'm sorry.
Wait, I have one question.
No,
So,
no.
correct me if I'm wrong, when you were contacted about, do we need some money? And you said to them, what about the money that we were already told?
Correct.
What happened to the new money?
Oh, this is like one money at a time.
I don't forget the
We're finally
numbers.
coming through on this. I would hope we're on the list for that though, but what did this take? If you remember, Mr. Markowitz,
It was 4 years.
I think it's been longer.
It was before COVID.
It was before COVID. And we were at a meeting at Giles.
We were at Giles, in the back room.
In the back room.
We were. Thank you.
So it was 18.
Very long time.
It's taken a long time.
And it'll still be another year and a half.
And at the time, the money that we were asking for was for the Giles Science Lens, which we have now funded ourselves, or NSF has helped us with materials. Okay, thank you. Looking at legislative updates, Cook County paid leave act. The villages of Norwich and Howard Heights did exempt school districts in December, so we thank them for their work on that. As you may recall, they had a special meeting, both villages to exempt schools, so we're very excited about that and appreciate their support. And Title IX changes. So the other day, a federal judge in Kentucky turned back the Title IX regulations. So what happened was, on August 1st, new Title IX regulations went into call. They call these the Biden Title IX new regulations. That's just a phrase that's easy to remember them, so no disrespect to anyone. And those regulations had different changes on sexual harassment and how school district handles it and the different levels of people involved. And now what happened with that federal judge is they turned everyone back to before that. I think we're going to see a lot of changes. And I think that's one reason why we're going to hold off on some policy change right now. Because we changed in 116 all of our Section 2 policies in order to meet the new Title IX regulations. we're gonna wait and see what happens next. I'm sure there's going to be many, many new things going on. Follow-up in future, I did reach out to Howard Heights at a board member's question last month to see if we can work with another organization for an SRO officer, and they are researching the possibilities. One thing that we need to continue to look at is if we do decide to go that way and they are able to meet our needs, you know, are we entering into that contract with them and staying with that? You know, this is not something they can do for a couple months, or they can say, oh, we'll do it for now, because it does involve personnel in their shop. So that is something that we reached out with, and we're researching our possibilities. Our goal is to get an SRO officer who can mostly, primarily be at Giles, but then also help with some traffic issues. Our February meeting, the principals are going to present their 25-26 building schedules. I am going to ask the board to post open positions for 25-26. We are going to ask the board for the CSBO to begin working on the budget as well. And then we will also look at approval for all bills in June and July and August to be able to be paid. And we're going to look at approving summer school, registration, and all of this that we talked about. I'm sorry, I know that was very meaty, but those topics of registration and curriculum, I think are on the list.
Moving on to the consent agenda, I'm going to start with some discussion.
You want to get a motion first, and then we need to get discussion.
I'm just doing that only because I want to make one thing clear, that I'm going to motion for 14A through 14I with the understanding we're tabling F being considered approval of Vision 2030 resolution. So, knowing that, can I have a motion to approve 14A through I? What is that?
Second.
Lauren, Renzo, roll call please.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield, Mr. Berardi,
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore,
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Deck,
Yes.
Mrs. Lala,
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio.
Yes, motion passes. Action items.
We don't have any.
Sorry, board comments.
Oh, because I removed that one.
Any board comments?
Wait, did we just do 14A through I excluding F, but what happened to J?
Yeah, we did miss Jane. We gotta pay all the bills.
I was looking
Thank you for
at,
catching that, because the bills
Yeah.
are important.
I was
Mrs.
using.
DeVore is probably freaking out over there.
I used the agenda that was, I believe, was exactly what we had.
I apologize, that's fine. Yes. Just go ahead and approve, Jay.
Yeah.
That'd be
And
fine.
I have a motion to approve 14J.
Motion.
Second.
Molly, Lauren, roll call please.
Mrs. Deck,
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore,
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Lala,
Yes.
Mr. Berardi,
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio.
Yes, thank you. That was in the form.
No, we couldn't pay any bills. They're ready to go. Ready to go. Not at the bills, but yeah.
Any board comments? No.
Just call it your spot, since I think you're right under.
Closed session, consider a motion to adjourn to closed session. To discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees collective negotiation matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and review of closed session minutes. Can I have a motion? Maria? Fanny? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes, motion. We are now back in open session at 11:51. Moving on to personnel action items. 17A1, consider approval of Irina Shabanova, District Ukrainian Paraprofessional. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Maria, Amanda, roll call please.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes, motion passes. On to board meeting reflection. No, it wasn't. No, that was. As long as we're present. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:53. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
For the first time you find the motion.